Hello everyone, today I'm going to give a tutorial about how to set up your Node Express project with partials and SCSS or Sass, Syntactically Awesome Style Sheets. So we're going to get something that sort of looks like this. I'm going to show you how to build a sticky nav with some light transitions for hover states. Obviously these could be better, but it's just sort of how to start your project up with Node-Sass in an Express environment. So what I'm going to do is follow along with this tutorial. You can go ahead and get this on my GitHub. It is public, and I have multiple branches, so if you want to just get to the solution and clone it down, you can go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to just walk through here how to set everything up. So the first thing you want to do is get to this page and copy this URL and then open up a terminal. So let's do that. So as you can see, I'm in my dev environment, so you want to be in an environment where you'll have your code repositories, and I'm going to go ahead and do a git clone this repo. So if we do a ls, we should see the Sass Partials tutorial, and then we're just going to cd into there. And so let's take a look at what we have. Pretty much just a basic Express setup, views rendered with EJS. So EJS is a templating language. So it looks a lot like HTML, but there's a lot more templating involved for adding more functionality to your HTML pages. So let's go ahead and just install all the dependencies. Basically, right now what we are installing is Express-EJS, Mongoose, because our database is MongoDB, as well as method override. So now that I installed the dependencies, let's go ahead and do a code dot to open VS Code. Okay, so here's where we're invoking Express. We're requiring all of our dependencies and the controllers. So this is a simple to-do app with two models with a one-to-many relationship of many articles per author. And then let's see, we have our middleware, our routes, and then we are running on the localhost port 3005. So let's just start running our server. We can open a terminal in VS Code with a control backtick on the Mac OS. Okay. And then I am also using a nodemon to automatically restart the server on a save. To run the server, you could also do a node server.js, but for the purposes of this demo, I'm using nodemon, which you can just install globally with the npm-i-g nodemon. So nodemon is going to start running our server. And as you can see, it was successful. This console log printed listening on port 3005, and our MongoDB has successfully connected to the localhost. So let's go ahead and check it out. So this is what we're starting with. Pretty simple blog. Each click will render a new EJS page from the server. So we go ahead and click on our authors here. We have an authors page where I have a author write you. So we could go ahead, create a new author. Let's do Wilbur. So you go ahead and click on Wilbur. You can edit and delete them. So just simple full CRUD functionality. CRUD being creating, reading, update, and deleting all of our MongoDB models. So this is what we're working with right now. And if you were to take a look at our views, you'd see we have a home EJS. So we're going to fix this up a little bit so we don't use a lot of the same code over and over again. So as you can see here, we're declaring the head. If we wanted to add some styles to this, we would have to add a style sheet like so on every single page. That is a little, tedious right now. So we're going to be adding partials, which will dry up our code a little bit. So we don't have to have all these components over and over again, like the head component, the body component. We're going to reuse these components and then sort of interpolate EJS within the layout. So for this, we are going to be using this dependency to sort of create a boilerplate or a layout, and we will inject the content based on which route is requested. Layouts normally include a header and a footer, content that you want to display on every page, so like a Navbar. So let's go ahead and start installing those dependencies. And let's install Express-EJS-Layouts. Okay. So if we successfully installed the package, so now what we're going to do is require the package up here with the rest of the require statements. EJS layouts, and then we're going to require Express EJS layouts. Yep. And now we need to add it to our middleware. So we are going to do that down here. Set the view engine to EJS. And then we are going to officially tell our app to use the dependency. So that same variable that we required. Now we just need to sort of configure our EJS now. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then go over to our views, and we are going to create a layout or sort of a base for which all of the rest of our EJS will interpolate or be injected into. So in our views, let's create a new file, layout.ejs. And it needs to be called layout.ejs. It's mandated by the dependency. So this will sort of consist of what we want on every page. And it'll look something like this. Copied this code snippet from the README, and then later on we'll require our CSS link here, and then therefore we don't need to link it on every other EJS file. So that's the major benefit of using this dependency. So now let's edit our home EJS file. So within home EJS, we're just going to be deleting a lot of this. So let's get rid of the body, the head, the HTML, the doc type. We don't need this. And then let's go ahead and get rid of the body and HTML down here. And this is pretty much all we need. So let's fix these tabs. And now we're going to want to edit the server.js to know to link this file inside our layout. So we'll go back to server, and then here on the root route, instead of rendering home EJS, we are just going to render home. And then let's go ahead and save this. We need to save everything. I've not really been good about saving. So now if we run a nodemon, successfully connected. I'm going to just open this side by side. I'm going to save this, refresh, and as you can see, it still works. It's a little tedious work, but we want to edit all of our articles, our authors, to sort of reflect this a similar layout as home EJS. So let's go ahead and do that. Go to your index.ejs inside of articles, and then we are going to delete the body, the head, HTML, the doc type. So same deal here. Remove the HTML here. So we're left with main, no body. That body should not be there. But yeah, something like this. Let's go ahead and save this. And then we will open the index.ejs and our authors. And same deal. Delete the body, HTML, head, doc type. Down here, remove the body, remove the HTML. So this is all we want. Let's just make it look nice. Save this. So here in articles, you want to go down to the index route here and just render index. Save that. Go to our authors. Same deal. Remove the EJS. We're only going to render index. And now it's sort of hard to see any reusable components right now. So we are going to go to our layout.ejs and add some more content here. So let's go ahead and just add a navbar. We're going to add a sticky navbar that will appear on every other EJS file. Go to our home. And let's take this navbar out. And we will just have welcome to the blog. For here, we're going to paste the navbar here. So we have authors, articles, and then let's add one more. Let's add a anchor tag for the root route. And let's call it home. Yeah, oh, I see we actually called it blah blah blah's law blog, if you're a fan of Arrested Development. So let's just call this blah blah blah's law blog. So that'll be sort of the home. The name of the website will be in the top left corner. We're going to flex these items such that it looks like an actual navbar. So right now if we save this, let's check out what we have. Refresh. So something like this will navigate us to the home. Yeah, we still have our navbar up here. So this is a great way to use reusable components. Syntactically Awesome Style Sheets. I'm going to go ahead and Control-C out of this. So what we're going to do now is create a public folder. You can do that in the File Explorer here. Let's just create public. So we will do this to house all of our style sheets, which will be accessible for the views. We're going to want to add one more piece of middleware. So let's go to our middleware here. So right here, let's do a app.use express.static dir name, dunder dir name. So that's 2 underscores dir name plus / public /. So this enables the EJS files to link a CSS file to it. And let's go ahead and start creating a CSS folder. And then inside that, we will create a Sass folder inside of our CSS. So now we want to globally install Node-Sass. So go ahead and run that command. And then what we are going to want to do is add a new script to our package.json. We could just call this one Sass. This will just compile our Sass code into CSS code. Since EJS HTML files can't read SCSS or Sass on their own, we need to compile the Sass code into CSS code, so such that it's readable for the browser. So this Sass script will run, we have to add a comma here. We will run the command Node-Sass, and then we will point it to our Sass folder, so that will be public CSS Sass. And then the output will be to public/CSS. Save that, and let's go ahead and test it out. So let's add a style.scss in here. So a great thing about Syntactically Awesome Style Sheets is that we can have CSS variables or SCSS variables, and we denote that with a $. So we can add a primary color. This is pretty usual. So we're going to go ahead and add this nice red color. You can go ahead and grab these colors off the repo, copy paste this, or type it if you'd like. We're going to add some secondary color to just a black, and then a text on primary. So this will be the text over our primary color, which is just white. We're going to add a base font of 16 pixels and a primary font of Helvetica New. Let's go ahead and add a CSS reset. So this will be a pretty simple one. Just target everything. Gonna add remove the margin, remove the padding, add a box sizing of border box. We are going to declare the font size of our base font variable, as well as the font family to our primary font, like so. This is how we use SCSS variables. So if we save this here, and then run a npm run sass. So we'll go ahead and, as you can see, rendering complete, saving .scss file, wrote CSS to users, blah, 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 our CSS folder here. So here we could see this was rendered. It did not save the variables, but as you can see, the value of the variables was interpolated into the CSS like so, which is what we want. Generates a pretty nice looking CSS file. We generally don't touch the CSS. We only make edits to the SCSS from here. Now you might be thinking, this is kind of a bit much to have to run this npm command each time. So what we're going to do is add a new script to our package.json, such that whenever the Sass, any files in the Sass folder changes, it will compile the code into CSS. So let's go ahead and add a Sass Watch. So this command is going to be an npm run Sass. So this previous command, ampersand, which means right after you run this, or simultaneously, we're going to run the same command with a W, which means watch. So let's go ahead and save this. And So we are going to run npm run Sass Watch. So now we get this sort of hanging terminal. Anytime we make a change to our SCSS, save, we see that the rendering was complete. Likewise, if we had an error, so say no semicolon, we get an error here, which is pretty nice, honestly, because sometimes you don't know if there's an error, especially if you're writing inline JavaScript styles. So you go ahead and check our style CSS, and we see here that it is being updated automatically. Save, check this out, boom. So that's pretty great. Highly recommend this. So let's go ahead and start styling our navbar a little bit. So the last thing we want to do, go to our layout.ejs. Let's just add a class here, navbar. And then let's link our CSS files to our layout.ejs so that this one style CSS will render on every EJS page link. If you have Emmet, then you could just do this. And then we are going to point it to css/style.scss. So let's save this and let's see if our CSS reset has worked successfully. Oh, the server's not running. So what I would do is keep this open. Let's create a new terminal here. We can do a split terminal, and we will do a nodemon to start running our server. Let's refresh our port 3005, and as you can see, the styles have applied. We have a CSS reset. All the font sizes are 16 pixels, minus that some of the headers have this extra font weight, and the hyperlinks have a text decoration. So let's go ahead and just add some more style to our page. Let's do the H1, H2, H3. We will make the font weight 500. And for all the hyperlinks or anchor tags, a font size of 1.5 REM. Use REM here. REM is just a measurement. So 1.5 REMs is equal to 1.5 times 16 pixels, which is our base font size. So this is a great way to scale your front end based on creating a nice, consistent visual hierarchy of elements with this variable for the font size here in our CSS reset. Oh, we could show a cool benefit of Sass here. So ampersand in Sass means the parent. So in this case, it is this anchor tag. We will define the hover state within the same rule. So here is the major benefit of Sass, is having nested rules. So I highly recommend this. We will add a color of the secondary color, or just black steps. So in our header, we will just give it a display flex direction column, justify content, space around. So for this tutorial, we're using Flexbox, which I highly recommend. It's a really easy way to get your visual elements to align properly. It's really easy to center elements and groups together, organize them in rows and columns. Highly recommend CSS Flexbox. So we are going to align the items to the center, as what I was just saying. Let's do a position relative, top 100 pixels. So if we save this, let's take a look at the browser. Okay, so we have something like this now. So let's go ahead and let's see. let's define the mixin. So up here, usually we'll define our mixins. So a mixin is just a rule that we're going to write that is reusable anywhere in our code. So we'll do a transition ease and give it this rule: transition all for 0.5 seconds, ease in, out. Then we can go ahead and just apply this mixin in our anchor tag here. Just do an include transition ease. So as you can see here now, refresh our page, there's a light transition. It's hard to see right now with the white background, but we'll go ahead and just start editing our navbar now. So here we have our default selectors. Let's go ahead and start creating our classes. So our only class we have right now is the navbar. We're going to give this a background color of the primary color. We're going to do a display flex, justify content, space between, so it'll give the elements lots of room in between themselves, much like normal nav bars. Align the items to the center of the screen and create a fixed nav bar, or it will stick to the top and it'll always remain there. Index of 1, I actually don't think we need that. Just place it to the top, give it a width of 100 view width, so it will always be the size of the view width. And then let's go ahead and also give it a nice drop shadow. So I'm going to paste in here a default value. So filter drop shadow 0, 4 pixels, 4 pixels. So sort of just specifying the dimensions of the drop shadow. And then we are going to make it black and slightly opaque. Let's go ahead and add a nested rule for the anchor tags. Or let's just see what this looks like right now. Let's refresh this page. So now we have something like this. Still a bit more work to do. Not perfect, but we'll get there. So on the anchor tag, we will give it a color of text on primary. We'll make them white. Let's get rid of the text decoration. And let's specify the font size to 1.5 rems, as well as a padding of 1.5 rem. So down here we'll specify our unordered list, remove the bullet points, which is the list style none. We will display flex, add a row. See, it's starting to look more and more like a normal nav bar here. So it's important to go through and just edit all of your EJS files to work in this partial sort of layout. So that's just, all it is just removing some code that we already wrote here. As you could see on pages where we did not add the sort of partial syntax, we lose all the styling. But that's pretty much at the end of the tutorial. So just let me know if any part is confusing. It is a little hard to wrap your mind around at first, but this is really going to save you time in the long run with just one style CSS. Usually you'll also have more SCSS files, like not like a config file, but usually you'll have one file that stores all the variables, all the mixins, sort of like a base SCSS. But right now we're just having a sort of getting started setup with our reset, our mixins, our variables, the classes, and default rules. So that's the end of the tutorial. So thanks for watching.